All right, are we ready to get started? Good morning, everyone. My name is Steve Prater, and I'm the acting chairman this morning of the board, which just means I'm the master of ceremonies because all three of us will have a vote and equal votes. And so anyway, on my right is Chucky Tillis. On my left is Danny Barris. We're all three will be on the panel this morning that will be handling all of the cases. We're at the DLC headquarters in Baton Rouge right now. The date is July the 9th of 2024. The time is, what's the time, ladies?
9:10.
9:10. It's 9:10. So we'd like to staff that's here at DLC to introduce themselves first.
Jennifer, Carla Williams.
Francis Abbott.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate that. It's good to see everybody here. We'll be handling cases at David Wade to begin with, and the way that we'll go with it, as far as this particular hearing will go, this parole hearing will go, is that we will have the inmate talk about what he's been through, let him give a statement to begin with, then we'll hear from the warden. We'll hear from supporters and then any victims or any kind of opposition that we might have. Then the board will interview, we'll have some questions, and then the board will vote. And you'll know before the day's out what the vote will be. So we'll go ahead and get started and tell us why you think you're worthy of being paroled. But before you start, I want to make sure that you understand or that you are who you say you are. We have you listed as Blake Lamar Bryant. Your DLC number is 772809. Your date of birth is 7/1 of 1995. Your offense was indecent behavior with a juvenile. You were sentenced on October the 11th of 2022 to 3 years at DOC state time. So anyway, is all of that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Mr. Brown, why don't you go ahead and tell us a few things about yourself, what you've been doing, and just your state of mind.
I've been, like you said, I've been incarcerated since 22. I've been in max security at CCR. I started off at Hunt. I came here in January of 23. While incarcerated, I had a newborn son. He's 16 months old now. So I overcame that, not being there for his birth. While I got out of CCR, I been enrolled in so many classes. I've been taking classes here at David Wade. I've been taking classes outside as far as American Bible Academy out of Colorado. I've been playing sports. I've been enrolled in work. I would do work in the kitchen, in the South Kitchen, serving trays and stuff for the inmates here. I go to church. I'm enrolled in Experiencing God classes with a little Bible study in the dorm. I try to stay focused in my mindset as far as preparing myself to come home and rehabilitate myself with my family, my loved ones, my son, and grow within my community as staying enrolled in church, going through counseling and stuff like that is necessary.
Okay, we appreciate that. Warden, would you introduce yourself and your staff and then tell us a little bit about what the experience has been with him under your care?
Good morning, Mr. Prater. I'm Michelle Dozot, the warden.
I'm Deputy Warden and Brenda Ackland.
Okay.
Assistant Warden Ryan Kimball.
All right.
So when Blake got here, he got here in May of 23, and he was originally assigned to our CCR protective custody unit due to employment history. But he then requested to be able to live in general population, and we evaluated that and allowed him to do that. And he made a really good transition. He's gone through programming. He's currently in phase 3 of the sex offender treatment program. And he is in Living in Balance. He has completed our reentry courses. He has very good work evaluations. I've had a chance to visit with his family, and I believe he does have some good family support, and a plan set up for him. So as far as an inmate goes, his record speaks for himself, and he's given us no issues or concerns while he's been here at David Wade.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, now we'll ask for the, any kind of, supporters to be able to make a statement. And we have in support, we have Aaron Pedrami, that's probably wrong. And we have Brian Bennett. And so we have them, are they going to be zoomed in? So, let's first hear from Aaron. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Erin Pedrami, and I have been representing Blake Bryant since the outset of his arrest and through his legal proceedings. And I've grown very close with Blake and his family members, and I think it's important to note that, of course, the board has his disciplinary and educational records and performance records from DOC, but you know, Blake is a young man. He's just turned 29 years old. He's a son, he's a father, he's a brother. He has a very strong and large network of family and friends in our local community. And I think most importantly, Blake has taken an active role as a participant in his own rehabilitative process over the last 5 years. Blake has transferred between, you know, initially being housed at Hunt up to David Wade. And of course, you know, during the time that he was in protective custody, he was limited. And so he was limited by protective custody, and he was unable to begin doing coursework and taking those types of classes that would really prepare him and prepare him mentally for reentry into the community. And I think that as soon as he was given the opportunity to transition into general population, he really was proactive in his own coursework and his own efforts to rehabilitate. And you know, the crime that Blake was charged with has such wide boundaries, if you will, or it's such a wide spectrum. And not only has Blake been impacted, most certainly the victim has been impacted, and both will be impacted for the rest of their lives. And I think that for a young man of Blake's age and character and status, he will feel this pain and remorse for the rest of his life. I think that he has changed over the years because he's matured. He has now a new son, a child in his life. Blake has had very strong mentors, very strong male mentors and figures in his life. His father was killed in a tragic drowning accident just before Blake was incarcerated. So Blake really has not had time on his side, but I think during this time, it's been beneficial to Blake for him to be able to reflect, to heal, to mourn, and to think about change, and to really think about his plan for the future. Myself and his family have supported Blake. He's remained positive. He's suffered the pains of being incarcerated. Most certainly, as a former police officer, one never thinks that they'll be on the other side of the circumstance. And, you know, this has been a life-changing experience for Blake. And I will continue to support him and hope that this will help him grow. And, you know, again, such a painful and uncomfortable circumstance for a young man can only keep his foot and his sort of stance in the world walking forward and not looking back. rethinking his decisions, making better decisions and better judgment. He's most certainly positioned for reentry into the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and I apologize, I didn't read on my list of characters or list of folks here. You're his attorney, and would you
Yes,
say
sir.
your last name for me, please, ma'am?
Pedrami.
Andrami, okay, thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you.
Trying to get that straight, and I didn't mean to make fun of your last name by not being able to say
That's
it. I
okay.
wasn't familiar with it. Okay, well, thank you
Thank
for
you.
those comments. Next
Thank
up,
you.
we're here in support of Brian Bennett. Mr. Bennett, you're the father of the inmate. Would you go ahead and limit your comments to 3 minutes, and we'll see what you got to say?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Can you hear me good?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good deal. Of course, my name is Brian Bennett, like you've already said. He's my stepson. I'd like to start with Blake has never been in any trouble prior to this at all. Never been in anything. He during this he made a bad decision. This mistake has since lost everything because of it. He's lost everything. In my opinion, he didn't have any intent to hurt anybody. He just got comfortable with situations and forgot his boundaries as a law enforcement officer, is what I'm thinking. I know Blake wants to get back to society and restore his life, find a good job, be a good father, especially be a good father to his new child who's just over 1 year old. I know that's his goal. If he's ever faced with the same situation in the future, I know he'd never make the same mistake. And if you'd asked me if after this has changed his personality and changed everything about him, my response would be yes. He's definitely changed as an individual, and his outlook is completely different now. He's had to be locked away, and it's just not the same Blake that I see. He's humble now. He's God focused. He's father focused. He's very strong now. I believe he's able to be released and definitely function successfully now. I very much believe that. While he's been incarcerated, it's not only locked him away, it's locked the family away. So it's caused a whole bunch of division and separation that he kept together when he was here. And it's just not there. That piece of the puzzle is gone for the time being. Nobody's been the same. It's been immensely painful without him. And we've taken on a lot of responsibility as his parents that he needs to be here to be able to take care of. And we just need to be whole again. Is how it needs to be. But yes, he's definitely a different person now. I can tell you that firsthand. And that's pretty much all I have. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And that's all the supporters that we have. I'm going to ask the executive director of the board, do we introduce the folks, even though they don't want to speak, that are present? Okay. All right. That being the case, the way that these hearings are conducted, so that you'll know, we have a lead person on the board for each particular case, and your lead is Chucky Tillis. And would you go ahead and tell us what you have, the questions you have?
Good morning, Mr. Blake. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, sir?
Good. What classes did you take while you were there? I heard you when you introduced yourself. Some of them, but I didn't. All of them.
I've taken substance abuse, anger management. I did some American Bible Academy outside in the free world. Reentry, sex offender phase 1, 2, and 3. I'm about to start phase 3, as Warden Dozak stated. I'm in Living in Balance, and I am currently enrolled in victim awareness that should start at this month.
Those are the ones the sexual abuse classes I didn't hear. That's what I wanted to find out. I have no more.
All right, Danny Barris, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, and I don't have any questions, so we'll go ahead and vote now, and you will be the lead vote.
At this time, Mr. Bryant, I think you need a little bit more time and some more classes in sexual abuse, and my vote will be to deny.
Okay, and Danny?
Well, I can appreciate all the stuff that you did in jail, the fact that you're a first offender with a pretty good record, no disciplinary violations, but problem is you were a police officer at the time in a position of authority over a juvenile. And that's a pretty serious, place to be. And you violated the trust of not only the juvenile, the public also. So for that reason, I'm gonna have to, also vote to deny your parole, but there is a bright side to it. Your good time date is right around the corner in October of next year, and you won't have to come back before us for another hearing. You automatically be released then. And like Mr. said, I suggest you just take this time to take as many classes as you can and get yourself in the best place you can be for your family and your child when you get out. But for those reasons, I'll have to vote to deny.
Sure.
And I concur with my co-members here. And I also vote to deny for the reason being law enforcement has taken a huge hit on this, not including the victim. The victim is, and I hadn't heard a lot about the victim of this thing, but the victim and their family have gone through hell. And then law enforcement, the way that it reflects on the rest of us, this family and all of their associates now look at people in a uniform as if, hey, they might be capable of something like that. So for that reason, without a lecture, I wish you luck. I appreciate what you've done in there. I appreciate your dad, especially because many of us are dads, and I know that he's gone through hell too, and you. So anyway, but at this particular time, I concur with my friends, and your parole is denied. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
In this. Good morning. Good morning. Can y'all hear us okay?
Yes,
We can
sir.
hear you okay, and we appreciate that. We're at the Department of Corrections in Baton Rouge. We're continuing. We've already had our opening session, and we're convening the parole board hearings. What we're going to do now, I'm going to introduce myself. I am Steve Prater. Okay, I'm the acting chairman for today for Cheryl Renatza. To my right is Chucky Tillis. To my left is Danny Barris. And we will be the three panel that will be hearing what you have to say. Of course, you're at David Wade, and would the staff go ahead and introduce themselves?
Yes, and
Uh,
Sure.
Yes, ma'am. The staff there, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the staff at David Wade. Would y'all go ahead and introduce?
Michelle Dozat Warden.
Deputy Warden Brenda Ackland.
Assistant Warden Ryan Kimball.
Harper classification.
Okay, all right. Well, this is the way that we'll conduct the hearing this morning, is that we're going to have, first off, we're going to have a statement as far as from the inmate, and we're going to see what you have to say, Mr. Boyance, as far as the crime and as far as what you've done in there to improve yourself and why you think that you're worthy of a parole. But before we do that, I want to make sure that we're talking to the right person. So I'm going to read some identifiers to you. And you tell me if this is in fact you. We have to do this for the record, okay? So just listen for just a second. Chad Paul Boyance, your DOC number is 131986. You were born January the 23rd, 1972. You're a fifth offender. Is your class. Your offenses are possession of cocaine, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, first degree robbery, aggravated flight from an officer, and armed robbery. And you were sentenced on March the 7th of 2005. Is that in fact you, and is all of that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Why don't we start? This is the best place to start, is by hearing from you, and why should the three of us consider you for parole and letting you out early, earlier than your date? Why would that be? Tell us about you.
Well, like I said, my name is Chad Barnes. I believe that y'all should give me parole because I've changed. I've recognized that my crime that I committed was wrong. I feel very bad about it. And I know that it was because I was addicted to a drug that didn't give me a chance to actually think. And now that I have the opportunity to think, I understand that the things that I did was wrong and it hurt many people. And I just want the opportunity to just get out there and my kids and my family, my community, and the things that I learned here and change my direction in life, because I really have something to give to society. I really have something to give to my family, and I miss them. And I understand what I did. I wasn't thinking what I did. And what I did, I just wanted to get low. I just wanted to get high. And at that time, I didn't understand that the effects of what I did would have such an impact that it did. In the time that I've been down, I understand that now. And I pray that y'all would see my situation as some situation that's needed, because I have kids and grandkids I haven't seen in 20 years. And I'm very hurt behind it. And I'm doing everything that I can to get back to them, to show them that I wasn't a bad guy. I just had a bad situation and I just didn't think. And it hurt me real bad. And and the hurt that they have, I want to mend that. I have girls, and they've been through so much, and I just been holding it, and I'm just praying this opportunity, and it came up to me, and now it's my chance to put my best foot forward, and I really pray that y'all help me make that step. I know that it doesn't look too good. I know that it's been a hard road. This is not easy, and this is not an easy situation for y'all or me, but I just pray that y'all can see that this is be the right decision for y'all to help me, help my family and my community, and allow me to blossom into the things that I really want to do. That's all I
Okay.
can say.
Well, we'll have a few more questions for you in a moment after we hear from the warden about your activities there. The way that we handle this is there's three of us up here, all of us will vote, and the majority will rule in this particular case. But we have one person on this panel, and that's going to be Danny, that is the lead investigator, you might say, or the lead interviewer. And he's going to be asking you some questions as soon as the warden is through telling us about your behavior and your activity there at at Wade. Okay, Warden, go ahead.
Okay, good morning. I've had numerous conversations with Chad, and as you can see by his record, he has a very colorful disciplinary conduct record. When he got to David Wade back in May of 23, he did go to the cell block, the max custody, just for a transition time due to his previous record. Whenever he got out and came into general population, him and I had a conversation, and I did notice a different tone, a different mindset. He requested to get into school. We assisted him in getting into school, and I can say from that point on, he has tried to do what he can do to improve himself. He's involved in school. He's gotten into substance abuse, into the reentry programs. And I do see an honest effort on his part as far as changing his thought process and his mindset, and actually looking going forward how he can be a better person as opposed to his past conduct and history. So as of right now, he's in school. He is working towards getting his high set and is in substance abuse class and in reentry, and has not had a write-up since he's been at David Wade.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Mr. Barris, Danny, would you go ahead and do your interview?
Yes, sir, Mr. Boyance. Looking at your records and your paperwork, I see that you're a fifth felony offender who's been convicted 21 times for felonies and misdemeanors combined. You had 10 previous terms of felony supervision and never successfully completed any supervision except for the 3 that expired while you were still in jail. You have 209 write-ups while in jail, with the last one occurring in June of 2023, last year. Also on October 13th of 2022, you were convicted of battery on a correctional officer. Can you tell me about that battery on a correctional officer that you were convicted of in 2022? What happened there?
Yes, sir. Like I was in Angola, and I was still getting high, and I had a lot of anger, and my mind hadn't changed into a way of thinking about others. I always just thought about myself, and I didn't care for no one else, being honest. And we had a exchange of words, and I was high, and we got in a tussle, and I got locked up for it.
And what were y'all exchanging words about? What started the whole thing?
A write-up.
A write-up for what? Intoxication?
No, sir. It was a write-up for, I think, a defiance. But the officer that wrote it up, he said he overheard it. So I was explaining that to the board, that the person that they say that I had cursed didn't write it up. So he was trying to give me a plea agreement, and I had said, well, I didn't do it. So it went back and forth, and he lost his temper with me, and I didn't want to move, and he put his hands on me, and we wrestled, and they gave me 6 months for it. I don't see it as a light situation. I respect authority highly now, and I understand the difference. And I've been working on my anger, and I've been able to put it inside.
What about your inability to complete a prior term of supervision? You got issues with parole, probation, and parole, or what was all that about? How come you never could finish one?
I was immature, and I was addicted to drugs, and I never looked at the seriousness of what people was telling me or what they were saying to me, I looked at it like, I just get by, I just get by, I just get by. And then when things did, I realized that all those things were for me to better myself, and I didn't take advantage of it. And now I realize that was opportunities. It wasn't just a chance for me to lollygag my way through. It was a chance for me to change and take a better route, but I couldn't see it. I actually couldn't.
Also see that you've been incarcerated since April of 25 of 05, but you just started doing programs to get yourself better in 2019. What happened in 2019 to change your world, to try to do something different? What happened then? What was it? Or why, or I'm assuming something happened. What was the reason why you didn't do nothing before 2019?
I hate to sound repetitive, but it was.
It is.
I didn't hear you, sir.
I said, it is what it is. You can repeat it. If it's the same reasons, then it just shows that you just.
Yes, sir. Drugs and the environment, and then the war at Angola. I just know about Popeye. He was like, Chad, I'm gonna give you an opportunity. He's like, it's on you. I was like, well, okay, I tried. I put my best foot forward, and I maintained for a while. Then I had run-ins with old situations, got into it with old people coming to my life again and stumbled. But I had got an opportunity. So I had kind of start moving forward and getting into programs and trying to learn whatever I could from it, and try to help myself out and things like that.
Have you gotten your GED yet?
No, sir, but I'm working on it, and I really want to get it. Miss Warren Dozak, she stood up for me, like, because I kept going to the building. I was like, I want to get my GED. It's something that I feel like I need, I want to have. So she was like, do you really want to get it? And I was like, yes, ma'am. She initiated it, went right there. I signed up for it, and I've been going ever since. And I started off, and I haven't been to school since 84 or something. So I started off in the lowest level, E level. Right now I'm on M level, so kind of trying to get it together, working on it real hard.
I spoke with our education director. He has at least probably about 10 months, 8 to 10 months before he will be ready to test for his HISET.
Sure.
All right. I'm glad you started, because that's an important factor for parole.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's all the questions I have. Okay.
Yeah, and how long you been incarcerated?
Hey, we seem to have muted. Can you hear us?
19 years.
We're not hearing
I know
them.
19 now. 3705.
Are they meeting?
Can y'all hear us? We can't hear you. Is there a problem?
It's not
Well,
on us.
There's a problem.
Yeah,
It's on their end.
it's on there. Ward, could you check your system?
You didn't know there's. That's all that.
Mute and then unmute, maybe.
There's no way.
Away. We made one.
Where's that?
Temple East.
Yeah.
They won't roll, not long. Maybe because they broke.
Okay, can you hear us now? Can you hear us?
Rolls and I'm glad they're.
You're frozen.
Can you hear us now? Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, you gonna get us back up here?
I apologize. We had our internet connection was lost and we had.
Well, that's okay. We understand that. Understand that happened. Okay, we're going to we're gonna continue this and, Mr. Tillis was about to ask some questions.
I saw it was 19 years you've been there, Chad. And, I think, I saw all the write-ups you had. It doesn't look too good, but, I'm glad you're on a different course now and trying to get yourself together. And, Mr. Morris had said you, at GED, you really need to get that. So, that would be my questions. I'm finished.
Okay, I just want to encourage you and tell you, looks like you've turned the corner. But sometimes you just have to prove it. And, anyway, I think we're ready to vote. I'm sorry.
It was the speaker.
Okay. Did you hear me, what I said, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think it's time to vote.
Yes, sir. Today, I'm gonna have to vote to deny your parole due to the seriousness of the crimes committed. And, your criminal record. Your behavior while you were in jail, your behavior while you were on prior periods of supervision, and strong opposition from law enforcement and strong opposition from the victims of your crime. Like they said, I think you might have turned the corner. It looks like you're starting to see the seriousness of the things you did in the past. I suggest that you continue the programs, complete your GED, and reapply as soon as you're eligible. That's my vote. Okay?
I concur also.
Okay, and my vote would be to deny also at this particular time. The main thing bothered me is, because I think you're doing good and you're sure a likable fella. I like your smile and the attitude that you got and all of that. But the recent 2022 problem, it just showed that your anger bubbled up again. You got a short fuse. And as soon as you can convince us that fuse is a lot longer, then I'd be willing to bet, and vote a different way. So I want to encourage you, but to tell you at this particular time, your parole is denied, but we encourage you to try it again. Thank you.
We'll have to sign on again.
All right, good morning. My name is Steve Prater. I'm the acting chairman for Ms. Renata this morning. She is absent. We have a three-panel. The way this is going to go is that there's three of us out of the whole parole board. We serve in panels. This is the three panel that has been chosen to hear your particular parole request. And we are in Baton Rouge right now. We're at the Department of Corrections, just for purposes of the record. And you are at David Wade. We know that. And so to begin with, I want to introduce the rest of my panel here. Chucky Tillis is on my right, and Danny Boris is on our Barris is on our left, on my left, excuse me. And so what we'll do, the way this is going to proceed, is that we're going to give you an opportunity to start this whole thing off, and you're going to tell us in your own words why you think that we should grant you a parole. And then when you're finished, we're going to ask the warden if she would be good enough to tell us about your behavior in that particular facility. Then we're going to go to your supporters and allow them to talk. And they are the ones that will be speaking will be, let's see, Kenny Myers will be speaking, then two attorneys, Errol Taylor and Aaron Culbertson will be speaking. And then we will go to Randall Myers at the end. Let's see, I think that's it. Randall Meyer will be including it. Did I introduce Kerry Meyer with the Parole Project? I don't know if I did or not, but he'll be speaking in support also. And after that, after everyone's had a chance to speak, then we're going to have the interview from the panel here. We'll ask you questions to bring out anything that we might have, and then we will take our vote. But before we get started, I need to see if you would go ahead and introduce the people that are in your room right there. The ones, the spectators. We've already had the staff introduced, so appreciate that. But who else is in the room there? Uh-oh, we not hearing you. Okay. Okay, so it appears that the internet is boogered up again. Do we have any okay.
skip to the video. Okay. Where's this?
Please charge the low battery.
Can you hear us?
We can hear you now, and if you would, go ahead and just introduce the folks that are in the room besides the staff.
This is Earl Taylor. I am one of the lawyers representing,
Okay? Nice to meet you.
I'm also here.
Hi, my name is Erin Culbertson. I'm also one of the attorneys representing Mr. Bates.
Okay, all right, and that concludes.
Oh, sorry, we believe that there is one more supporter, Ms. Shamika Jackson Hayes, who has dialed in and is on video, and she will be testifying in support of Mr. Bates.
Okay, and also I apologize for not reading her name. And also Peter Rosalania is an attorney that is going to be Zooming but will not be speaking. But he's also on Zoom. Okay, appreciate that. And so if there's nothing else, then we'll go ahead and hear from Mr. Bates after I read this. Make sure that we're talking to the right person. Okay, I'm gonna read some things and you tell me if it is in fact you. Robert Bates, DOC number 356691. Date of birth is 8/9/1977.
Yes,
You're 47 years old, your first offender class, you're charged with first-degree murder, and you've been in jail since 7/18/1995, it appears. That's when you were sentenced, at least. That's when you were sentenced.
Yes, sir.
Is all of that correct?
Yes, sir. That's when I was sentenced. That's correct.
All right, if that's you, sir, I'm gonna turn the floor over to you and let you give a shot at telling us why you think you're worthy of being paroled.
I would first like to thank you all for giving me this opportunity. And the reason why I feel as though that I should be granted parole is because for the past 30 years, there's not a single day that I haven't thought about the pain and suffering that I've caused Mrs. Lillian Snell's family, as well as Mr. and Mrs. Guillory family. There's no excuse for my actions. I take sole responsibility for it. It was my gun that severely injured Mr. Guillory, and a straight bullet from my gun that took the life of Mrs. Lillian Snell's. And although there's not words that I can express, not amount of words that I can express to describe the pain and suffering that I've been through because of the wrong that I've done. And I pray daily, seeking God, not only for his repentance, but to lift the family up in my prayers, as well as my victims up in my prayers because of the pain that I've caused them. This crime, I'm totally remorseful for. I participated in a robbery that resulted in taking the life of Mrs. Lillian Snell's and severely injuring Mr. Guillory. But it wasn't my plan, although I still take full responsibility for it. And if the board would grant me mercy, I would take full advantage of my pesticide license, which I'm skilled and trained in the application of pesticide on commercial property. My welding, I'm a certified combination welder as well. And I'm a volunteer hospice worker, which I plan on seeking employment in if I'm ever released. And I pray that y'all would give me just one chance, to give back, because I know what it's like to take. And my whole goal is to give back to society for the wrong that I've done. Excuse me for a second.
Take your time. Take your time. Take a minute and collect yourself. This is important and we want to hear what you got to say.
Mr. Prater, to be honest with you, this here, I never thought I'd get to this point in my life. I thought I would actually die in prison, that I would never get this chance to even express all this to somebody out there in society, and hoping that they'll understand that I'm not the same drug-incurred, irresponsible, immature, impulsive 17-year-old that I once was. Over the course of these years, I have accumulated hundreds of certificates in different programs like anger management, victim awareness, substance abuse. I even completed 12 steps. And since I've been in David Wade, I've become I'm in an honor program where I'm an honor card inmate, which I've been going on for almost a year now. And to be in that program, you would have to remain right up free. You would have to keep not only maintain a good conduct, but you have to participate in church, be active in church, as well as in the educational program. And I've also became a volunteer hospice worker because that's what I enjoy doing, taking care of others. That's my way of giving back for the wrong that I've done. And I pray that the board would grant me mercy and give me the opportunity to outwardly do that in society, to show that I can be a productive citizen. And that's why I feel that the board can trust that I can do what's right even when no one else is looking, because I'm doing that now.
Okay. Well, I applaud all the work that you've done. I really do. I really do. Warden, do you have, would you give us an update on how you've been since he's been under your tutelage?
Yes, sir. He got to us in September of 2022 and has not received any rule violations since that date. I believe he has a total of like 33 in 30 years. So his conduct record is a very good conduct record for the time that he's been incarcerated. He did complete the victim offender dialogue program. I wanted to mention that. And again, he's actively involved in AANA. He has an excellent work evaluation from his supervisor, in addition to a letter of recommendation from the chaplain just in regards to his service to the chapel and the navigators program that he has been a part of and completed. So as far as being, his conduct record speaks for itself here. He has not been any trouble in our population.
Okay, I appreciate that. All right, haven't heard that. We'll move into the portion where we hear from your supporters. And I think first off, we'd like to hear from Kenny Myers on the Louisiana Parole Project.
Good morning. Kerry Myers with the Louisiana Parole Project. We have been working with Mr. Bates for at least a couple of years. And one of the reasons why is, I think, what the Ward just explained. His work ethic, his conduct, the things that he's accomplished. One of the things he's accomplished, and I think says a lot, is he earned his GED, and that was perseverance. I think it's just been a couple of years ago. But over the past 30 years of his incarceration, he stuck with it and he kept doing it. It took a while, but he got there. And that just, to me, that shows a lot of character and perseverance to do something. He set a goal, he did it. Parole Project is prepared to work with Mr. Bates should he be granted parole today. 30 years is a long time to be away. He was a juvenile, 17 years old when he was incarcerated. So we understand, particularly we understand juveniles who have served long sentences. That's really been the foundation of Parole Project. We understand how the brain science that says they mature, they grow. We understand the needs that he's going to have when he gets released. He will have a mentor who will help him through the transition, to teach him life skills that he's never had an opportunity to learn prior to this. And those things can be as simple as consumer skills, understanding societal norms. One of the things we find is clearly that understanding societal norms is something kind of foreign, particularly to a juvenile, but we'll help him in other ways. We'll help him in technology. We'll help him with employment. We'll help him with making sure he has all his documentation so he doesn't have those problems, the important things. We'll connect him to his health care. He'll get an evaluation through our social worker. And we will make sure that he follows the recommendations of our social worker, whatever that may be. So that evaluation will include both mental health and substance abuse evaluations. Over the 2 years we've worked with Mr. Bates, I just believe that he has just been one of the most impactful candidates that we have had in our program, because he's demonstrated the maturity, the desire. We believe our program is about compliance. It's a volunteer program, and we have full confidence that he'll be fully compliant in our program. His long-term residence will be here in Baton Rouge, which is an advantage because he'll still be in our orbit. We'll still be able to provide support for him once he's becomes inactive. After a year, he'll be an inactive client, but we'll still be there and he'll still be in our orbit. So we just ask this board today to consider all the factors and the things that you will hear and grant his parole today.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. Appreciate your work that you do. All right, we'll move into other supporters and the attorney. Mr. Taylor, I believe you're going to go first. Is that correct?
I am. I'm not sure if
whoever
will speak at all.
would like to go.
I'm going to go first, and I thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of Mr. Bates. We started representing Mr. Bates, my firm, when I was at No Bank, big firm in New York, representing. We signed on to do this case pro bono. And you know why we did that was that we were interested in giving Mr. Bates the kind of representation that we give our corporate clients. And what I was thinking was this was not outcome dependent. We were going to let the chips fall where they lay. We were going to gather as much information about Mr. Bates and his background, be very transparent about that with the district attorney and the court, and give him an opportunity to be heard, not knowing how this would come out. We didn't know Mr. Bates. We did know about his problem, which, as you know, was serious. But we, in those years of representing him, we did a lot. We put a lot of effort into understanding who he is, who he was, and his transition from that 17-year-old who committed this heinous act in September of 1994 to who he became, who he is today. We retained specialists in adolescent psychology, psychologists who specialized in PTSD. We had Keith Nordyke, who many of you may know, who is an expert on parole and rehabilitation and disciplinary issues. And to a person, they concurred with our evaluation that Mr. Bates had made a remarkable recovery, remarkable progression in his life from where he came from through to where he is today. And we did send you the package of information that included this background and summaries of the work that we did. So we believe strongly that this board, if they look at Mr. Bates's temperament, if they look at his character, if they look at his morals, and also consider the very strong skills, work skills that he has obtained while in prison. And if you look at all of that, we hope that you agree with us that Mr. Bates is ready not only to succeed once he's paroled, but to thrive and to really be a positive contributor to this community. one thing that I also want to mention that, you know, you didn't hear of that, you know, Mr. Bates had the opportunity in 2015 to meet with one of his victims, Mr. Hillary, through the outreach project. And, you know, that was a 2-year process to prepare for those meetings. I think you know how big an issue that is. And that was done before Mr. Bates had an opportunity for parole. That was before we began, years before we began representing him. And he met with Mr. Guillory, and Mr. Guillory is very supportive of Robert and his application. In fact, he sent a letter to the court while we were representing Mr. Guillory in his proceeding in the Miller proceeding there, urging the court to grant Mr. Bates an opportunity for parole. I just want to read you a little passage from that letter. Mr. Guillory could not be here today because he had some other family obligations, but he did ask us, give us the permission to read his letter, which he still believes today. And here's what Mr. Guillory said. He said, nearly 5 years ago, I decided I wanted to meet Robert Bates. And after nearly 2 years of preparing for that meeting, I had the privilege of meeting with him at Angola. After meeting with Robert for nearly 5 hours, reviewing some of his accomplishments while in prison, and speaking with him about the crime, he was sincerely apologetic for the harm he caused me and my family. Through our meeting, it appears that Mr. Bates has proven to be a model inmate and has rehabilitated himself. As a victim of Mr. Bates' attempt to end my life, I am requesting that the court reconsider his life without parole sentence. It is my opinion that Mr. Bates would be a model citizen granted the opportunity for release. Therefore, if our judicial system is true and just to its value of rehabilitation, then I believe without delay that Mr. Bates should be granted an opportunity for release based on his rehabilitation and results. And he sent that letter to the court in 2020. So that's all I have at this point. I thank you again for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Robert Bates.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. All right, let's see, Ms. Culbertson.
Thank you, Chairman Baker. I think Mr. Taylor said it all for me, so I'm happy to pass it along to the next supporter.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that concludes the support portion.
Chairman Prater, I meant Ms. Shamika Jackson Hayes, who was going to testify as well.
Okay. All right. So you're yielding your time because we only allow 3 supporters to speak. And attorneys don't count? Oh, okay. All right. I'm learning something new every day. Attorneys don't count as the 3 supporters, but we have a no down here, I thought, as Shamika Jackson. It says that she's not going to speak, but in fact, she does want to speak. Is that correct?
I believe she did. I'm not seeing her on the Zoom anymore. So if you wouldn't mind, I could just summarize what I understood she was going to say. She submitted a letter that is in your packet as well. Ms. Jackson Hayes is a cousin of Mr. Bates. They were close when they were growing up. They've remained close during his nearly 30 years of incarceration. She and her husband live in.
Let me interrupt you just a second.
Oh, sure.
She is on Zoom now. She is here. She's available now.
Okay, great.
So just turn it over to her. And you are Miss Shamika Jackson?
Yes, I am.
Jackson. Okay. All right. Well, go ahead and tell us what you would like to tell us about Mr. Bates.
Well, that's my cousin. We have been close since kids. I have made sure during his incarceration that we stayed close. We pray together. We do so much together. I think everything that he's been through is really reflecting light in his life. And I'm gonna be here to support him in all ways possible.
Okay. All right, is that all your remarks? Okay, we appreciate you saying that, and they were able to hear that also. So, all right, the way that we handle this is that all three panelists here, we each have cases assigned to us to do the real in-depth reading, and although all of us have read your files, and so this one is Mr. Tillis's, and yes, would you go ahead and tell us, or go ahead and conduct your interview, Mr. Tillis?
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Banks, how you doing this morning?
I'm good, Mr. Tillis, and how are you?
I'm all right. I went through your case. It's impressive. Have you taken some classes, drug abuse?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay, what happened in your last write-up in 22? What's going on there?
Sir, I can explain. I can't explain how I failed the urine test, but I take full responsibility for that infraction. And since during my 90 days in the cells, I had plenty of time to reflect on my course of action after this rule infraction. And since then, I've been in the honor program, which I mentioned earlier, as well as I've taken substance abuse again, and I graduated that. I've taken NA 12 steps, which I also graduated that, and I'm still attend monthly meetings.
Okay. You said you can't explain how that happened. I mean, were you doing drugs or what?
No, sir. If you look at my record, I haven't had a write-up for a failed urine test up until that point, which I took a urine test right before being shipped to David Wade in Angola, which I passed. And like I said, it's unexplainable, but I take full responsibility for that ruling infraction. Okay. And since then, I've continued on a positive path.
Okay. I have no more questions.
Okay, you got any questions that you'd like to ask? No.
No questions.
On this infraction, it says it's rescinded, is that correct? Okay, so, okay. I don't have any questions either. I do want to say how impressed I am with what you've done. You know, that's for sure. You've done got a lot of folks pulling for you. And so I want to congratulate you on that. So I think it's time to vote, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Prater.
We have our opposition.
I'm sorry.
Brandon Myers.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm new at this, and I said I was standing in, so I was. Ms. Renata would not have forgotten you.
Oh, that's all right. It's happened before. We're opposed at this time on his release. I think that Mr. Bates is on the right track, but I don't think he's quite ready. And one of the reasons for our opposition is victim opposition. The Schnell family is opposed to his request. One of their family members, that they were concerned about appearing at the hearing, and they're on Zoom watching the hearing to see the proceedings and see what the final decision is. And they asked me to express to the committee their opposition to his request for parole. My opposition basically is, originally it was three things. The original file had some certificates in it, but not a whole lot. And I was concerned about his what I thought was his failure to continue taking courses and doing things in recent years, but then it was updated. The certificates were updated, and it showed a lot of the other programs that he's been involved in, and you know, I felt better about that. Where my big opposition is his disciplinary conduct, all the disciplinary reports he's had. And first, I'll say, if we look at the progress report, his institutional record is listed as fair. It's either good, fair, or poor. So he's right there in the middle. So that's a little concerning. He's had 33 disciplinary reports while he's been incarcerated. And as we typically see, you know, inmates will get a lot of disciplinary reports early on in their incarceration. And then, you know, as they're there a while, they kind of learn the ropes, figure out what's going on, and their discipline gets better. They start doing a better job. And to a degree, he's done that. But if you look back, he's, you know, 2014, 2016, 2018, he's had a number of disciplinary reports. 2020, 2022, he's had reports, and that the one that was rescinded dealt with a cell phone and communications with a guard. The SIM card and the positive drug test from September 13th of 22 have not been rescinded. And that concerns me a lot, because particularly the drug tests, because drugs were strongly involved with this crime. And you know, I think a long-term, I've looked at the programs he's taken. He's taken Thinking for a Change and a couple of other drug-related programs, and I was glad to see that he's involved with the AA and the 12 steps. I think that's very important. But I think a long-term substance abuse program is good for him, because that's going to teach him more about how that addiction works, and more what he needs to do to fight that addiction and beat it. And so, you know, I think that's an important thing for him to do. In looking at his disciplinary reports, you know, I've got concern with that too. And I think he's on the right track. It's been 2022 since he's got the last one, but I'm not comfortable that he's where he needs to be just yet. You know, he's had 12 reports for contraband. He had the escape, he had the theft. He's had 11 aggravated offenses. And our first assistant DA, myself, and counsel for Mr. Bates met yesterday, and we talked about it and letting him know where our opposition was coming from. And I went and looked back at, and I asked y'all staff to get me some of the reports from the contraband disciplinary reports. And when looking at those reports over the years, you know, in 2001, he had some shims that could open handcuffs, a couple of razor blades and a razor handle. He had a weapon in 2006. 2007, he had an ice pick weapon and some keys to open up handcuffs, as well as some shims to be able to open up handcuffs, as well as a screwdriver, a nail clipper that was fashioned into a screwdriver. In 2018, and that was really the last report I saw that dealt with any type of weapon or any, you know, shims to open handcuffs, that sort of thing. But after that, he started getting cell phone issues. In 2018, he had a cell phone, earbuds, and a charger. In 2020, he had a cell phone that he refused to give to the guard. The guard had to then pat him down, and he found the cell phone. The report that was rescinded dealt with the cell phone. And if you read the report, he talked about the report says that he had a cell phone and gave the guard the number to give him a call on. That was rescinded. I'm not sure why. And then also in September of 22, he had a SIM card underneath his ring, which was found. So, you know, he hasn't had anything since 2022, and I think that's good. And I think he's understanding now that he needs to keep a good disciplinary record to show that he's truly ready to get out. And I would like to see both a long-term substance abuse program and a longer period with no disciplinary reports before he's granted parole. Thank y'all.
Okay, did that bring up any more questions?
No.
Okay, Danny, do you have any questions? No. Okay, and I have no questions, so now it's time to vote, correct? All right, making sure I hadn't skipped anything. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Bates, you've done some bad things and you've hurt a lot of people. But I have seen, I read your report and stuff, and you've done well. You really have done well, and I'm impressed. My vote today is to grant with conditions to put you with the parole project. And I hope you stay on a better course to better your life and better yourself.
Okay. Well, Mr. Bates, I'm gonna have to read this little section to you, and this is, I agree that you have done a great job improving yourself in jail. But I'm looking at this letter here, and it's the Jefferson Parish District Attorney and detectives from the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office talked to the family, Ms. Chanel, prior to the trial and explained to her and them that you were eligible for the death penalty if convicted first degree murder. And the family was told that Mr. Bates did not want to die. So you asked him not to be put to death at that point and asked that the family take the death penalty off the table. And in return, you plead guilty and waive your right to a trial. So they allowed you to plead guilty. They took the death penalty off the table, and the victim's family was told in that deal that you would be sentenced to life without the benefit of parole. And for us to come back today behind that and change that while the victim's family is still thinking that that's the deal is weighing heavy on my decision, but I'm gonna have to vote to deny parole today based on the deals that were made previously with the family. But I do commend you on everything you've done, and I know it doesn't help, but that was the hang up for me today because the deal was made with them back then, and the reason you're still alive today is because they made a deal for a shorter sentence then. No more time, who knows, maybe the victims will soften up and the law enforcement will soften up, but there's also strong law enforcement opposition to this also. It's not just victim opposition, strong law enforcement. So for those reasons, I have to vote to deny.
Okay. As you know, it has to be 2 out of 3. It has to be 2 out of 3 others. And I want to puts me in a hard place, but that's okay. We're all getting hard places in life. And so I like you. I like what you've done. I like your attorneys, what they had to say, and your cousin, what she had to say. And the parole project, they don't come out usually and they say they guarantee. I think that's the word he said. I guarantee you he's going to be okay. So I trust that. And so I can get over everything, but my problem I can't get over is in 2022, less than 2 years ago, you had a cell phone SIM card. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when I pulled up this morning, I wanted to park in the handicap spot, but I couldn't because that's a rule. Okay. And that's a rule. And if we would be putting ourselves on the line that you are going to abide by all the rules if you get out. And if you can't even abide by the rules in there, then that's what bothers me. So the bottom line to keep you from hanging is I'm gonna vote to deny also, but simply because I want to see you go. Before I vote for you, I want to see you go 4 or 5 years without breaking a rule. Okay, you can do that. I did that. Okay, I didn't park there. You can't have a cell phone. Okay, period. You can't have a cell phone. And soon as I see that, then I'd be willing to vote to grant. And that would have gotten you out. So you have repercussions to your actions. And you chose to break that rule. And so now I'm having to make a hard decision because of something you did. So I wish you luck. Keep on the path you're going. I want to encourage you. You probably don't want to hear that this morning, but I want to encourage you that you're doing the right thing. Just abide by the rules. Okay? Thank you. That'll conclude. Wait. Second here. Okay, all right, we're on. Okay, good morning. My name is Steve Prater, and this is the parole hearing that you requested. And so there's a few things I want to tell you to begin with. There's three of us that will be making the decision for you this morning, whether to grant you parole or not. On my right is Chucky Tillis. On my left is Danny Barris. And we will be the ones that will interview you this morning. To begin with, we're at the DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge, and of course you are in David Wade. And so we're continuing our hearings for today. We've already introduced the staff and all of that. So at first, we're going to ask you to tell us why you think you're worthy of a early or a parole. That's the first thing we're going to have. Then we're going to hear from the warden as far as how you've been acting there. We'll hear from supporters. We'll hear from opposition. Then you'll have us. We will interview you and find out just exactly maybe some more details, and then we'll take a vote. So now I think we're ready to get started. Go ahead and tell us why should we grant you a parole?
But I learned my mistake. I know I made a mistake, but I learned my mistake. Things I did, I'm able, okay, I know what I know now. I would never made a mistake I made.
Okay, is that your statement there?
Okay.
Right. And
I learned all the years I've been locked up. I learned a lot.
You deserve to get out.
Yeah, I never want to make the mistake I made the first time.
Okay, and you are, just to make sure we're talking for the purpose of the record, you're Ricky Washington, DOC number 96617. You were born in July the 5th of 1958, and you're charged with first-degree murder, and you're a first offender. Is that all that correct?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make sure I read that in the record. And so, is there anything else you'd like to say as far as trying to convince us why you're worthy of getting out?
I learned I ain't gonna never do what I did. I knew I made a mistake. I was young, I wasn't thinking.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
I'm older, I've learned a lot since I've been locked up.
Okay. Warden, would you tell us how he's been acting and what he's been accomplishing since he's been under your care?
Yes, sir. He's been here since 2009, and he hasn't had a write-up since 2016. He's been in general population that entire time, and he's not given any issues, no problems. He does have a good work evaluation according to his work supervisor. He's completed reentry, and he's involved in AANA. He's completed Thinking for a Change since he's been here, anger management, parenting class, and a Cage Your Rage anger management class since he's been here. He keeps to himself. He doesn't really socialize a lot or give any issues. He doesn't at this time has not achieved a high set, and I think that might be due to some other issues, but he is actively involved in his programming and continues to do those type of self-help programs.
Okay. All right. We have in the way of supporters of you, Mr. Washington, we have Willie Washington, who is your brother, and Sherry Ely, who is your sister, and both of them are on Zoom, and they said they wanted to speak. So we'll first have Mr. Washington. Would you speak to us, please, sir? You may need to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First off, I'd like to thank the board for having taken the opportunity to bring my brother before. And for his, 46 years he's been gone. First I'd like to say my little brother had problems when he was young, kind of slow in understanding and education. And at the time we were coming up, we didn't have the right medical stuff to help him out in his ability, in his handicap. And that caused him to get caught up in a lot of things because he didn't understand them as he should. And, I've been through the situation. Sister made my adjustment. And I did time at Wade and I did that too. I mean, I've been out, been doing good. And I've been abiding. And I want to have the same opportunity that my brother, to make this re-entry because he never had a chance in life like that. And I'm, putting everything toward the board to really have some this leniency for his understanding and how he deal with things and, to have an open mind on how he talk and his conversation and education had never been up to that point. And, the thing is family really been waiting a long time to help him make the transition and get back into life. And that opportunity I'm hoping is still available and still on the table. And either way it go, I just want to thank you guys for giving the opportunity. And at the same time, I want you to know that whatever it takes for him to get himself back into society, me and the people around me and my family members, we will work extra hard.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Washington. You sound like the kind of brother I would want if I was wanting a brother. And so we appreciate your remarks. Okay, now we'll turn to Mr. Washington's sister, Sherry. Are you there? Okay. You might have to unmute it. You will have to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, first off, I would like to say good morning.
Morning.
Yes, I am Ricky Washington's sister. He been gone a long time. I know he have made mistakes. We all made mistakes. Ain't nobody perfect. And I know it's nothing to really just stand on about the issue about what he made his mistake. He was young when he went in. And as my brother was saying, he did have a little problems. But I thank God that he passed all those and everything that he have been through, and he have grown a lot. And he learned from his mistakes. And the only thing that I'm asking that he get a chance to come out to relive his few years that he do have left. We don't never know how many more years we have on this earth. So giving him a chance to society, to start over, to live his life and to do better. And I really believe in my heart that he has changed a whole lot. I seen him grow from the time that he been in there to the time he is now. He learned a whole lot. He changed a lot. He tried to do about it everything that they want him to do, to be able to have a pardon, to live his few lives out in the world. So only thing I'm asking, like, we gonna have to help him in every way we can. And I'm glad that there's doctors, there's medicine, everything that he need to progress in life, that we have the skills to do that now. We didn't have it then. We didn't have the doctors for the medicine. We didn't have the doctors for psychiatrists, all the help that, what I'm trying to say is all the help that he really needed, he did not get. So now it's available for him now. So I'm asking y'all to take that in consideration. I am here for him. I have a place for him to live. I'm going to help him in every way that I can. He been gone for 46 years, finna be 47 years. In the meantime, while he been gone, we have lost our father. We have lost our mother. We have lost my baby sister, my baby brother. And we have lost a lot of people in the meantime, the whole time that he's been incarcerated, that he didn't get a chance to spend those days with. And the only thing I'm asking is that y'all put it in consideration to pardon him. Thank y'all.
Thank you, ma'am, for your remarks, and you sound like a wonderful sister also. So we appreciate you standing up for Ricky. Okay, having said that, the next thing we do is, because there's three of us, we each have certain cases. In this particular case, Chucky Tillis is the lead interviewer on. So,
Okay. How you doing, Mr. Washington? I can't hear him. How old are you?
55.
55. How old were you when you committed this crime?
20.
You were 20? Okay.
65.
Yeah. I read through your case. I looked through it, and I see also that you didn't have any write-ups. You hadn't had any write-ups since 2016. That's good. Are you taking any classes or anything that?
Yeah, I'm in all the class now. I done took everything him. I'm in reentry now.
Reentry? Have you tried to get your GED?
I've been in school, but they ain't got my GED bump in there. They got me backlogged again from school.
Okay. What do you do while you're there? What kind of work are you involved in where you're at now?
Yeah, I was bricklayer. I was working at the oil company, the diamond company.
Those two. What do you plan to do if you're granted parole?
Give me a nice job, sell it down, raise me a family. So,
You already family.
right.
That's good. Have you thought about trying to get a job? What kind of work you do?
Yes, sir.
What kind of work your skills? What kind of skills do you have to get a job?
You have to get a job.
Oh, well, I got my sister gonna get one for me. I got a job lined up. I just got one that get out.
Okay. All right. I have no more questions.
okay.
I have a question. I see that you started your inmate classes in 2019, but you've been in jail since 1977. Is there any reason why it took you so long to start, or did something change in your life around that time? What was the reason that you didn't do anything before then?
Why did you start getting involved in classes in 2019 and not before that?
I was in class and I go. I had been in all the class. I had been in one the day I got knocked out. 79. I started getting off in all the class. Well, I did everything here. But I've been in the class.
Did you complete classes at Angola?
Life and all that. I went to life and stuff.
He was in some an organization, an inmate organization, not a class.
That was my only question.
Let me ask you a question. How long did you stay in Angola?
Yeah, 30 years in Angola. I come here 09.
Did you ever go to Kairos Ministry?
Kairos. Have you done Kairos?
Yeah, I've been Cairo, all the Cairo.
You did? How did you like it?
They good, God bless me, I want again when I go out there.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any questions myself, so I guess it's time to vote.
Mr. Washington, I went through your case about several times and you did some bad things. You really did. I really hope that you have changed and in 2016, from that time on, you've changed your life. So to make a long story short, I'm going to grant parole.
Okay. All right. Well, when I look at the facts of your case and you shot a guy in the back of his head during an armed robbery to take money out of a register, I find that a pretty serious crime, and convicted of first-degree murder. Pretty serious also. There's very strong opposition from law enforcement. So I'm gonna vote to deny your parole today.
All right, I'm gonna vote to deny also. I concur with the strong opposition from law enforcement. So the decision today is to deny your parole. We encourage you to apply again. All right, thank you. That'll conclude this hearing. Okay, we are back at Wade. I don't know if we'll ever get through with Wade, but we appreciate your hospitality. This is, let's see, Mr. Winbush, how are you doing today?
Oh, that's fine, sir.
Good, good. Okay, well, let me read some things to make sure we're talking to the right person and tell me if these are correct facts. Okay, your name is Tony Ray Winbush. Your DOC number is 132542. You are 55 years old. Your date of birth is 8/18 of 1968. You're a third felony offender. You're currently charged with ag burglary, habitual offender. Yes, see, you were sentenced to 35 years of hard labor. All right. Let's see, is all of that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, first thing we're going to do this morning is we're going to give you a chance to start the meeting, start the hearing by telling us why you deserve a parole. And then we will move into the warden and let her tell us how that you have acted over the course of your time there. And then if there's any supporters or opposition, we will have that. Then the board will have a chance to ask you questions. And then we will take a vote. So it's a pretty simple process. It's although it's formal, we try to handle it as informal as possible so that you can say anything possible or anything that can convince us. So now it is your turn. Tell us why you feel like you ought to be released early.
Well, I feel like, I done did my time, I done deserved my time. I'm not no bad person at the time. And I 20 years that I done did incarceration, and I done learned from that stuff and stuff like that there. I need to be at home with my dad. My dad is paralyzed, and my sister out there taking care of him. She's doing all the work by herself, picking him up out the bed, changing his stuff, pampers and stuff, and she needs my support out there with her.
Okay. So that's why we should consider releasing you early.
Well, if I, that's the way I'm looking at it, if you're not, well, I gotta do what I got to do, keep doing what I'm doing.
Okay, warden?
So, Mr. Prater, Tony has been here for about 16 years out of his time that he served and incarcerated. He's an extremely hard worker. He works as one of our gym orderlies, and he does a really good job working and is very respectful to staff. And he's had 6 write-ups total, I believe the last one being in 2021. He is currently in school and has been in school for some time. However, he does have some intellectual challenges, so I'm not sure that obtaining a HiSET will be in his future, but he is continuing to stay in school. He tries really hard. He's in our SSD program, and he doesn't give us any problems. He, like I said, he's very respectful to staff and gets good evaluations on his work performance.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Are there any supporters or, okay, there's nobody else that's going to speak, so then we'll go ahead and what we do, because there's 3 of us, we split up the cases, and your particular case was mine to study. And so I've looked at your case and your criminal history, which is, you'd have to admit, is pretty extensive. You were bad for a long time. You did some terrible things. Everything from simple burglary to purse snatching. You were paroled, and then you did an aggravated battery, and your parole was revoked. Then you were paroled again, and you did some things, and your parole was revoked. And then you were paroled again, and you ended up having a simple assault, a couple DWIs, but all of this was back 18 years ago, 20 years ago. The DA, the sheriff, chief of police, and the judge opposed you getting out. Your conduct has been okay. The last one has been in 2021. Good work evaluations. All your certificates. Have you been constantly getting classes and certificates since you've been there? Okay, because the ones I read were just in 2023. But that may have just been one sheet and I didn't know what I was looking at, but did you do anything prior to that?
I got all of that, that I was required to take. I got certificates in school that I can come up on my grades and stuff.
Did you do anything before 2023? All these classes were in 23. Did you do anything before that? You remember? It's all last year.
All last year.
But I mean, everything he has completed was within the last year. With the
Okay.
exception, he's been in school for a while.
Okay, and Mr. Winbush, why is that you just all of a sudden started taking classes and things?
Well, they had a long line, and since when I came here, they had a long lines and classes that I need to be taking and stuff. And I've been trying to apply for them classes, but you know, they told me I gotta wait in line and get in them classes.
Okay. All right. The crime that you're in there for is because you broke into a neighbor's house, correct?
That's
And did you have a gun or something? You had a gun with you? Or a
Oh,
knife?
oh, so I didn't have no gun, she had the gun.
But you ended up with a gun, correct? You
Yes,
took the gun from him.
she gave me the gun and I left with it.
Okay. All right. Do you think that scared her?
Yes,
Have you thought about that at all? Because normally when we talk to somebody, they talk about the victim and what it did to the victim and how you've hurt people in these burglaries and in ag batteries and things that you've done. They talk about how you realize you've changed your life and that you don't want to hurt anybody anymore and that you've had some reflection there and self-reflection and I hadn't heard that from you. All I've heard is you ready to get out and you think you've been there long enough and you deserve to get out. And if not, that's okay too. Tell me some more about Tony.
you know, I learned my lesson up in this jail system and this corporation. I learned my lesson. I know that if I go back out there, do any kind of crime else, I'm looking at a life sentence. And I don't want that to be. I just want to go out there and live the rest of the life that I got on earth out there in the free world. I ain't got that much more time to live. I'm 55 years old, I'm right at 60 years old.
And your full-time date is in 2040.
Yes.
Which you got any questions?
Yeah, I do. How long have you been incarcerated?
20 years and 5 months.
20 years and 5 months. And what was a burglary and what happened when you were out on parole? You violated your parole.
Well, I was working at the town after I violated my parole.
How many times did you violate it?
That's one time.
You were out on parole once and you violated it. Is that what you're saying? Okay. You're saying he was out on parole more than once?
Mm-hmm.
The record says that you were out on parole more than once.
Well, it's my second time. It's my second Joe, my third Joe sir, but each time I had made parole. And my first on time parole, I got in trouble. And I came back and I made parole again. I got out and I made now I'm back. I had did that
finish that parole time up. Before I got back in trouble on this charge here.
What were you doing to violate your parole?
Well, hang around with the wrong people.
Okay, so all I'm looking at, you've been in there 20 years and you got out. It seemed like not hanging with the wrong people will get you in trouble. So, and I see now that you've been trying to do better. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yes, I'm trying to do better. But now I can get out. I got people out there I can hang with negative things on their mind, positive things on their mind and stuff, and that's gonna keep me out.
What kind of work you do there at the prison now?
I do janitor work in the gym.
And if you parole, what kind of work you plan on doing when you
my brother working at a warehouse, and he gonna talk to his boss man to get me on with it.
I see. I have no more. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
But he said once I make it home, I can come on to work.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir, do you have any questions? Well, just to straighten up the parole record, it reflects that you had 4 periods of supervision and 2 of them were revoked. And both of the revocations were due to new crimes committed while you was on parole. So you didn't finish them, you got another charge, and then you got revoked because of those new charges. And that's what your record reflects, just to get it all out there. I got a question though about, you had a 2nd-degree murder charge that got amended to aggravated battery, and you pled guilty to it. What was the details of that offense? I know it was a long time ago, but it kind of sticks out. What happened there?
Well, a dude trying to rob my mama, and there was a gun in the house at the time, and I shot at him. I shot the dude in the neck, and he was paralyzed from the waist down.
And you shot him inside your house?
No, as he was driving away, they were leaving the scene.
He was leaving your house?
Yes.
Did you know him?
No, I ain't know him.
Just a stranger had come to rob your mom?
Yes.
All right. Have you finished your GED yet?
No, sir. It's hard for me to get my GED.
He's currently in our special education program, so he has some intellectual challenges.
All right. That's all the questions I had.
I want to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Warden, what kind of prisoner has he displayed so far since he's been with you?
He has not, I mean, like I said previously, he's a very hard worker. Any job that we give him, he's able to do, and he's very respectful with staff. He hasn't had any rule violations in several years, and it's only 6 total. So he doesn't give us any problems as far as being in general population. He keeps to himself and just, you know, does his work each day. He's been in school for a while, and I spoke with the education director, and you know, he's going to continue to do that, and he works really hard at that, but he does have some limitations.
Thank you. I think you're doing a good job there too, Warden. Appreciate your help.
Okay, is there any other questions?
I am.
Tony, I'm a little bit hesitant. Seemed like a good guy. You seem like we may have a communication problem, and that's what's throwing me off, because I wanted to hear more about how you've changed, rather than if I get out, I know if I do anything wrong, I'll have to spend the rest of my life in jail. And that's not, we don't want you getting out and have changed because of fear. We want you getting out and changed because of the fact that you are a changed person. You know, you've hurt people in the past and that sort of thing. And I don't know if it's a lack of communication on your part or if it's a lack of understanding on my part of what you're saying. But at this point, I'm hesitant with your history, hesitant to let you out. So my vote is to deny.
My vote is to grant parole, and I think you turn around. I think you have some problems that you can overcome, and maybe if you get another chance, you'll do. I would hope you would do better. My vote today would be to grant parole.
Another tough one today. I'm looking at this case and I'm looking at the age of the victim. And being your neighbor, you knew she was old and pretty much helpless to whatever you wanted to do. I think you took advantage of her with the crime, disarmed her, and pulled her telephone cord out so she couldn't call for help, and traumatized her tremendously with it. And now see that's why the law enforcement is so strongly opposed to your opposition. So I'm gonna have to vote with Mr. Prater on denying your parole at this time and continue to work on improvement. Apply again next time, John, we'll take another look at it.
That'll conclude this hearing.
What was his name? And again.
That's it.
11.
Okay, 11:20.
Thank you for your patience with our audio issues.
Okay, I think we're through with David Wade, but we appreciate you, Warden, the work that you do there. Not to compare jails or prisons or facilities or anything, but we know that you always do a good job there. And we appreciate that very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Y'all have a
So we're through at David Wade then, correct? Okay, good morning. Welcome everyone here, and my name is Steve Prater, and I'll be acting as the chairman for Cheryl Renatza, who is absent today. There's three of us that are on the board, and like I say, my name is Steve Prater. Chucky Tillis on my right, and Danny Boris on my left. And so we'll be handling the interview today. We have some folks here that I'll introduce in just a little bit, and they're the ones that are supporters. There's no one here or speaking in opposition that I know of. First thing that we'll do is we'll hear from Dawn, and we'll ask her to explain exactly why we should consider a parole for her. And then we'll hear from the warden. And I don't know if I said we're at LCIW for purposes of the recording or not, but we appreciate it and thank you. And I'll go ahead and give you a chance to introduce yourself, the staff, and the warden. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning. Kristen Thomas, warden.
Tara P, RDC manager. Afton Gaddy, ARDC supervisor. Lieutenant Shalita Brown, security.
And I'm Adrienne Hutchison. I'm her attorney with representing Dawn and with the Louisiana Parole Project.
Okay. Okay. I got you down here, and you'll be speaking in a little bit then in support. As soon as we hear from, we'll hear from Dawn first, and tell us, Dawn, tell us why exactly we should, why should we consider parole for you?
All right. Well, first of all, it's a privilege to even be at this step right now. So I'm thankful to be here to just to get to speak to y'all and be heard by y'all today. I committed a very serious crime, and I devastated a family. I left a man's wife. You know, I murdered this man really in cold blood in a robbery. I really just didn't even, it was very impulsive. I was in the state of mind I was in then. I served no purpose in my life, and I did drugs. I never lived as a productive citizen, at that time. So I committed this act. I devastated their family. I robbed him. He was a young man. He was only 27 years old. And he had a niece, and he had a sister that, was left with I didn't, know some of these things until my last hearing, but it devastated their family and even put, under more stress and things that sometimes you don't know when you make a decision how it's going to impact people and how it probably still impacts them, but I have over the years began to work on myself, because when I came to LCIW, like I told you, I didn't really know anything. And since being at LCIW, I have found out a lot of things about myself, not just gifts, and just learning how to work and getting a work ethic, and learning how to be an adult, and to also do a little bit of really like evaluating of myself, and realizing that I needed to make some corrections. And I mean, I've started on this journey making these corrections while I was at LCIW, but I know it's going to be a lifelong journey, and so I really just want the opportunity to be able to have more access to become a better person, be a member of society, a productive one. I've been so self-centered and taken so much, and I would like the opportunity to give back some of that. So I don't want to overtalk y'all, because sometimes I talk too much. But I mean, I know it's a gift. It's grace and mercy, because I don't want to ever take from the fact that I committed a very serious act.
Okay, I appreciate that statement, and we'll ask you some questions in a little bit, but not right at this particular time. I seem to always forget to make sure that we're talking to the right person. So for the purposes of the recording is why I'm doing this, but you are Dawn Bennett, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And your DLC number is 477041. You, date of birth is 6/23/1976. Your first felony offender in jail for armed robbery and second-degree murder. And your sentence has been commuted to a total of 42 years. Is all of that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, just
Yes,
wanted to
sir.
make sure we're talking to the right person. Warden, tell us what kind of inmate this has been, that Dawn has been.
So Dawn is one of our minimum custody inmates. She is extremely helpful to staff around here in the sense that she's one of our tutors. So she works very hard tutoring in our welding and heavy equipment classes. So she spends a great deal of time teaching others, and she really has a gift for it. She's a great facilitator and teacher. She participates in JC's Lifers Club, Drama Club, so she keeps herself busy just even when she's not working around the facility. She has a great or exemplary DB record. She has not had a DB report since 2011, I believe, so quite a bit of time. I know you received, I won't go over all of them, but she has kind of a book of certificates. So she really has done well. She stayed focused. She has really kind of made a change for wanting to improve herself, whether self-help or educational purposes. I know her intention is to go and live and work with the Parole Project. So I know Mr. Myers is on as well. He can give you a little bit more detail, but I know that's been a pretty solid plan for some of the other individuals that we've had released for a transition piece.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And so we'll, before we go into all of the supporters and that sort of thing, and let Mr. Myers speak and Ms. Hutchison speak, I wanted to say that also for the purposes of you, Dawn, also in the audience here, participating live, but they will not be speaking, as some friends and folks, Leanne Jokum, Stephanie King, Christy Shermani, Beatrice Taylor, Kennedy Johnson, Molly Sullivan, and Sabrina Monaco. They're here also for you. They're seated in here. I don't guess you can see them, but they're seated in here. Okay, now we'll turn it over to, I guess, Carrie, did you want to talk first? Or Ms. Hutchison?
That would be fine, Mr. Prater. Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We were there for Dawn's clemency hearing. We were here today because, frankly, we believe in her. Her trajectory since entering prison has been nothing but up the entire time. Her work ethic, her resume, her entire portfolio is impressive. She has skills. She has done almost every program that has been available to her, not just training programs, but the type of personal development programs that are really important to change cognitive thinking. And she's done that, and it's been proven by her disciplinary record, which she hasn't had a disciplinary infraction in 13 years. And I believe she's had less than 4 in her entire time there. And it's outstanding. We will provide Dawn with long-term reentry support. Her long-term plan after finishing Parole Project was to go live with her mother. Unfortunately for Dawn, and her mother recently passed away. And we are totally prepared to work with Dawn, provide housing as long as she needs. We will work to get her fully self-sufficient, where she can live on her own, but continue to support. You see in the room there today, all the community of people who are there to support her. Dawn will not fail. We're certain of this, and we're going to provide her with the reentry services to ensure that, in the long-term support to ensure that. So we would just ask this board to consider all of Dawn's achievements and grant her parole today.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Ms. Hutchinson?
Typically I do a closing after the interview. Did you want me to do it before the interview today?
Yes, ma'am. We've kind of changed up a little bit.
Okay.
And we like to be the last ones to do our interview as the board. And then as soon as we've done our interview, then we vote, because we're kind of the magistrates or the judges. And so we've just kind of changed the rules a little bit on that. We have the supporters and then opposition, then us. And so, so it's your time.
Okay, thank you, okay. So with a unanimous vote, Dawn was granted a commutation of her life sentence to 42 years by this honorable board. The reason cited by the board at the time was Dawn had benefited from her time in prison and found a new life in her faith-based programming. The board deemed that she no longer posed a threat to society, and they were impressed with Dawn's community service work. Today, I would like to briefly go over just some of the key factors that were going on in Dawn's life at the time of the crime that she has since addressed fully, making her ready to reenter society. First off, Dawn has been sober now for over 20 years after almost a decade-long addiction to some very harsh drugs. She now has an understanding of her triggers and what she needs to do to remain sober. At the time of the crime, Dawn was undereducated. She has since earned an associate's and a bachelor's degree in Christian ministry and has numerous certifications in welding, heavy equipment operation, construction crew leadership, and construction site safety, which enhances her ability to earn a living wage and to maintain gainful employment, something she didn't have at the time of the crime. She's found peace in helping others and is no longer willing to be the young woman she was in 2002. She's tutored others to obtain their GED and instructed various construction classes, her favorite being welding, which I'm sure she'll talk to you about. She's also been able to address her relationship issues and the violence that ensued from them in her anger management and domestic violence classes. Today, she has learned that trauma is no longer the defining principle in her life. She has learned how to establish meaningful relationships and has found her voice in advocating for others. She has maintained an exceptional institutional compliance record in the past 20 years. She's only had 3 disciplinary infractions, which I believe indicate that she can be a rule follower if released into society. She has a low Tiger score, which indicates she has a low risk of recidivating. And as she did at the beginning of her speech, she acknowledged that over and over again, how just remorseful she is and regrets the actions of taking Mr. Griffin's life. She acknowledges her recklessness and that she's devastated both the family and the community. And she's spoken already to how truly sorry she is, or how truly sorry she has been. You've been able to hear from both the warden and Carrie about the reentry plan that she would have with the Louisiana Parole Project, who is willing to and able to facilitate a structured environment that Dawn would need to continue to be successful. In August, when she came before the board, she proved both her maturity and rehabilitation and was granted that commutation of sentence. She's continued to show to today that she can remain on that track. So we just humbly request that she be allowed to rejoin the community and be given a second chance with any stipulations that this board deems necessary for her continued success. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, Don, this particular case, the way we do this is that each of the 3 of us get a certain number of cases, and we're kind of the lead interviewer on that case. And so your case is mine. So I have a few questions, and then we'll turn it over to them, see if they have any questions or a few things I want to point out. It doesn't appear that you got a lengthy criminal history, a theft and 2 possession of marijuanas that were both dismissed. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And let's see, of course, the sister of the victim and the wife of the victim, they are adamantly opposed to your release. The DA and the sheriff issued an opposition, but theirs is just a blanket policy of opposition. They didn't, it's just one of these, they just say we oppose to all of them. So we don't necessarily, if they're a blanket opposition, we don't necessarily take that into They don't give that much, I don't give that much credence, I don't speak for the board. Okay, your sentence was originally life plus 99, and then it was commuted to 42 years. And you served 20, how many years have you served?
22, I think.
22. Okay. And you were 24 at the time this occurred. Were you, I assume you were on crack cocaine at the time, correct?
Yes, sir, among other things.
Tell us about your state of mind. Tell us about your state of mind, because I like to go back to the instant offense of why we're here. What was in your mind, and what were you on, and what were you thinking when you actually pulled the trigger that killed this fellow that had the cocaine?
Well, it's just that he had something that I was just really self-centered. He had something that I wanted. And truthfully, there was no plan to go up there. I really just, really acted on my own accord. I had somebody with me and nobody said, do this, do that, or whatever. So, but I knew I didn't have any money. So I guess the intention was supposed to be to rob him, but I decided, to pull the gun out and start shooting. And just really stupid, and just senseless. My life, was like that then. It would just go from getting high or doing drugs, smoking marijuana, doing nothing. Then I might go get a job. I might have a little cycle where I do good, but I just had no purpose or no real understanding of my life.
Okay. And you have your bachelor's degree from New Orleans Baptist Seminary now, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. You have any questions?
What kind of, you say you're teaching people now to weld and handle heavy equipment?
Yes, sir.
You can operate heavy equipment?
Well, I did get to, we practiced on the simulator, okay? And a simulator, it's actually a little bit harder because when we got the real equipment, it was so much easier to do it. So it's like you really create muscle memory. But they don't really let us run around much on equipment and drive stuff here, because this is a women's, penitentiary. But I'm quite eager to, get some skills on it. I was pretty good on the simulator.
Oh, I see.
I did good when we had the live equipment, so,
So that's the type of work you try to get if you're granted parole.
Yeah, well, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do at first. I understand when you go out there, you're not gonna just have, there's a lot that I don't know and I don't understand, and I got a lot to learn. I'm gonna be really, really busy. But I would love to, of course, but I know there's certain things you gotta get for some jobs, like TWIC cards and stuff like that. So I just have a lot to take in, but I may have to get a job doing, something even as a laborer, at first, and that's okay. Just to be able to have a job.
That's good. That's good. I have no more questions.
Okay. My question goes back to the same thing Mr. Prater was asking you about the time of the offense. Y'all went over there with no money.
Yes, sir.
The guy just wasn't gonna give it to you.
Exactly.
At what point you decide the best course of action for me is just to kill this man. Did he say something? Did he do something? Did he resist giving y'all the cocaine? Or did you just all of a sudden just decide it's time? You told us at the beginning, you've been thinking about it since the day it happened. Tell us, tell me, that's a big part of it.
Yeah. And because whenever we went over there, I knew we didn't have no money. I didn't really know him personally. The lady I was with did, and she got in the car with him, but I guess the intention was really to maybe rob him because I knew we didn't have no money. But it was me that got afraid I had the gun. And I was afraid because I felt like if I rob him, he may come and retaliate against me. So I more or less panicked, and I decided then,
So he never said a word to y'all?
well, he was talking to her. I'm not sure what he was telling her in the car. I wasn't really privy to that conversation.
All right. So tell me about your community service work that you impressed the last board with. What is the exact nature of it? What are you doing for the community? And that they were impressed with. I heard the lawyer say something about that.
Oh, about the, well, tutoring is, sir?
Community service, stuff you're doing for, be helpful with.
Around here, we have a lot of, events that go on here for the prison. They have a, Easter extravaganza, they have a Christmas extravaganza. I have been allowed the privilege to get to volunteer to help, and I say a privilege because, not everybody, gets to go help, so I feel like it is a privilege, and just work with the children. A lot of times I'm running like the sound, I learned how to do that, at the prison. In the chapel, whenever we had a nice chapel over there at LCIW. I was the sound tech at first, and then I got a little help. We would have performances sometimes, put on things for holidays, and just stuff like that, being involved and being around, the people. We got a lot of young people coming in now, and it's just trying to keep them busy, trying to give people something to do, just trying to be, talk to them, Other than my job though, of course, I loved it because you got people that come through there that, at first I really didn't feel like that. I looked at people that would come in and out of here. I felt like, hey, these people make all the rules that we got to live by because we, if you have a long time and you can get an attitude about it sometimes. But I found though that these people, I'm able to look outside of me now and care about the next person rather than, what does it benefit me? I did have that attitude for a long time, but let me see, church. Oh, I did learn how to play a little music too for church and stuff, and playing the piano and stuff. That's the kind of volunteering you mean?
No kind of community service for outside, everything was done inside?
Well, they don't really allow us to go out. We have donated money. The clubs that I've been involved in, we do like to donate money for like we used to donate for a women's battered shelter and stuff like that. You ever heard of the JCs?
Yeah.
The Junior Chamber of Commerce. Well, our club was called the JCs at first, but we ended up splitting from the charter because they kept demanding these excessive amounts of money or whatever. So it was just kind of fishy. So we kind of split off. But we still do the same things. We just we changed our name to the Jazzy J's. But the clubs they used to let us donate a little bit, but they don't really let us get a whole lot involved with outside stuff.
All right, my last question is, we talked a lot about your record in jail and what you've been doing. The Parole Project did a good job. We got certificates. Is there anything else that you want us to know about that you've been doing that you think is good before we take a vote?
Well,
That's it all. It's all out. So if it's all out, it's all out. If there's something else. Just didn't want you to leave here and say, well, maybe I should have said that, maybe this didn't get in.
Well, like I said, I'm only asking for grace and mercy. I mean, I can't change what I've done. All I can try to do is change me and reach out to other people, and not be so selfish. And that's really all I could think of. I think that everybody covered everything. I appreciate you.
Thanks. Okay. All right. Any more questions?
Ready to vote?
Executive session.
Executive session. Okay, we have a motion to go into an executive session. We will not be long, I promise you that, but we need a vote to go into, and we will not be taking any votes back there. Okay, do we have we've got a motion to go into executive session.
Yeah.
I concur also, so it's anonymous. We'll go back there, so.
All right, so Danny Bowers,
Yeah.
Chuck Taylor,
Yes.
Steve Prater.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, okay, need a roll call to get back out of executive session.
Okay, so Steve Prater,
Yes.
Chuck Tillers,
Yes.
Danny Barros.
Yeah.
Okay, we will reconvene the actual parole hearing right now for Dawn Bennett. Dawn, it's time to vote, and since I was the one that was the lead interviewer on this, it's my vote first. So my vote is that you be granted parole with the condition of spending a year with parole project. Excuse me, parole project. That's my vote. And just for the purposes of the record, never mind. That's it. I was going to explain about the victim, but I'm not going to do that this time. Go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and concur with Mr. Prater on the granting of parole, but I'm also gonna require a special condition that while at the parole project, you submit to a substance abuse and mental health evaluation, and that you follow all recommendations for treatment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you need one more vote.
Warden, I want to commend you on the program that you're doing there. I think you're doing a lot of help. Ms. Bennett, I think you have a lot of, I think you're doing a good job up there. You've made a big change, and you've convinced me that you're going to be a better person. So my vote is to grant. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
All
Thank you,
right.
sir.
Thank you, board.
Yes.
You did. All right.
Okay, good afternoon. It's after 12 now. It's 12:18. We're still at LCIW. And this is the parole hearing for Betty Finley. And before we even get started, I'm gonna do this because I normally forget to do it, but tell me if this is actually you, Betty Ann Findley, DOC number 329284, born January the 19th, 1957, a fourth offender class, offense of manslaughter, attempted second-degree murder, forgery, obstruction of justice, and forgery. And you were sentenced in 2006. Is all of that correct?
My middle name is Jane.
Jane.
J-A-N. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I appreciate that. We'll make that correction. Is that, assume that everything else is the same though?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good, good. Okay, what we're going to do today is we're going to have this parole hearing. There's normally more people on the board, a full board, but we divide up into panels of 3. And the 3 that you got here are Steve Prater, and I'm just acting chairman for Cheryl Renatza, who is not here today. And then we got Chucky Tillis on this side of me, and we got Danny Barris on this side of me. And so we'll be conducting the interview and that sort of thing. The way we will do it to begin with is I will ask you to explain why you feel like you're ready to get out of jail. Okay, why are you ready to get out of prison? Why you want to be free? Okay, then we'll ask the warden to explain what kind of prisoner that you've been. Then we will go into those that are supportive of you. Let's see to make sure we don't. And then we will go into those, the 2 people that are against you getting out. And then we will conduct our questions. Then we'll vote. You'll know how things stand at that time. Explaining the process is quite more lengthy than doing the process. So let's go ahead and get started. Tell us why you want to get it, why you feel like you're worthy of getting out of jail.
Yes, sir. I feel like that I have rehabilitated myself to the best that I could rehabilitate myself. I have been through numerous programs. I am very cognizant of what I am doing in prison. I have trained people under me to be tutors. I have been a tutor for myself for over 10 years. I am aware of my surroundings. I try to mentor people that are coming under me, the young people especially, because I don't want them to end up where I was at one point, very, very low, and put themselves in prison. I've done just community service here. I've helped people become better people. I've done so much just to become a better person through programming. I've done reentry. I've learned how to be a productive member of the society within my community. I've done victims impact. I have learned the impact on the death that I had caused, the impact to their family, to the community, to my family also, through thinking for a change. I've learned how to actively listen, problem solving. I've tried to just take all of the aspects of every class that I have been through. And I've been a good student in every class I've been to because I wanted to soak it all in. I wanted to know what I needed to know to change the person that I used to be. I'm not the person I used to be. And I've really just tried to live a completely different life than I left, than when I was in society. I was a bad person, and I'm going to admit that. I didn't do things right. And I know to go back into the real world, into society, I have to be a better person. And I know I am a better person. Not only that, I graduated seminary, and I peer ministered in lockdown. I have I'm gonna be, I have a new job in tutoring. I've tutored over 10 years, but I'm gonna be the tutor for the juveniles, which is an honor. I've just tried to be very productive with everything that I've done here.
Okay.
And I do believe I can make an impact on my community by giving back. And I want to get a job in a tutoring program because I know that's what I can do and what I can do best. I want to make a victims impact video for victims impact for Department of Justice. I want to tell my story so that it'll never, if it can help one person not come to prison, that's what I want to do.
Okay.
Because victims impact, it made me realize what I did to Keith's family, Miss Barbara, to my family, and I never ever want someone else, if I can help them not do a crime, I'm very willing to do that. I need to do that. And so I've had my reentry specialist, she's checking into that for me. I want to give back. I took back and I want to give back.
All right. Thank you for those comments. I appreciate that. Warden, tell us about Betty and what she's been up to since you had her under your care.
Yes, sir. Betty, we really have not had any issues with. She has not had a disciplinary write-up in almost 10 years. And I think she's had a handful, 4 or 5 total, the entire time she's been here. Like she kind of mentioned, she has a passion for tutoring. So she is a big help in that sense that she assists with our education and really kind of getting some of the inmates we have here through classes and through their training. I believe she was in probably the first NOBTS class that we had at LCIW. So she takes honor and pride in that. Low risk, low need. I think initially she was wanting to go with the parole project for release, but they were a little tight on space. So her release plan, discharge plan would be exit 318 up in Caddo Shreveport area, which is a good program. So she has that underway if things are favorable for her today. But like I said, she really does not cause any concern or issue from a security standpoint on our end.
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate that. Now we'll move into the folks that are supportive, and we're only going to have one person that's going to talk. We also have Trudy Boren, who is your sister-in-law, and I don't know if she's listening or all, but she's not going to talk. Eddie Boren, your brother, is Eddie on the Zoom call?
He's here with us, sir.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yep.
All right. Eddie, would you go ahead and tell us what you
said so we can see you?
I believe Betty has served her time. She is a better person she was. And she gets out, she's got a place to come. And we would support her. And all of her grandkids really misses her. And we love her. And we like to see her at home.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Well, you're a good brother to come down there and speak up for her. And we appreciate that. And I know that she does also. Now we have 2 folks that are going to speak in opposition. One is Derek Johnson, who is Assistant District Attorney in Rapides Parish, and then the Honorable Jay Lemoyne, who is the DA for the 35th JDC. So who is going to go first there? Jay, are you going to go first? Okay, you got to unmute there, please, sir.
All right.
All right, we can hear you now.
Good afternoon. I know you have a comprehensive packet in front of you, but I'd like to do a brief highlight of the history and facts in this matter because I think they're important. prior to this incident, Ms. Finley had a extensive history of criminal offenses, all of which involved deceit. There were multiple offenses of theft, forgery, issuing worthless checks, bank fraud, and identity theft in multiple parishes in central Louisiana. And continuing on to that is what brought us into this situation. She was living with the victim in this matter, Keith Smith. He believed, according to the investigation, that she was stealing from him, although she was not charged with that theft. She was charged with forgery and theft related to Keith's mother-in-law, Miss Barbara Smith. During this time, she started poisoning Miss Barbara Smith. She had multiple trips and hospitalizations. Her condition would improve after the hospitalization and then turn around and deteriorate again. Toxicology ended up showing that she was being poisoned with opiates and other drugs. It's our contention and belief that the primary incident occurred when Keith likely discovered this was going on, and a confrontation occurred between he and Miss Finley. Miss Finley shot him with a .45 caliber pistol and killed him. She then buried him in the backyard. It was a rather dry time and the ground was hard, and he wasn't buried very deep. After a period of time, it's our belief the body began to come out of the ground. According to one of her statements, approximately 2 or 3 weeks later, she exhumed the body, and then using first a bow saw, hand saw, then a skill saw, and ultimately a chainsaw, dismembered Keith, put him in a trash can, and hid him in a mini storage unit. He was reported missing. The forgeries were coming to light, and after an investigation, the body was found. Miss Finley ultimately pled guilty to manslaughter, to attempted second-degree murder, in addition to, I think, forgery and obstruction of justice. For all those charges in Grant Parish, she received several sentences, effectively a 40-year sentence, 2 40s concurrent, along with some other concurrent sentences. Those were consecutive to sentences in Rapides Parish, dealing with some forgery and bank fraud. So a total of 47 years. We're here today less than half of that time to consider parole, for you to consider parole. Obviously, we're opposed. We think she's shown a great disregard for life, has a lifetime, or at least an adult lifetime of deceit that we know about. And I even noted that 10 years into her prison term, one of her prison disciplinary actions was for theft. It's my position, the position of other law enforcement in the area, and certainly of the victims, that she's not ready to be out. She's a long way from ready to be out, and we strenuously oppose the granting of parole.
Okay. Well, we appreciate those remarks, and maybe you could help explain this. Why was the charge just manslaughter and attempted second-degree murder?
Well, the attempted second-degree murder is because Miss Barbara Smith survived. The manslaughter was a plea agreement. She was initially charged with second-degree murder, and ended up entering a plea to the reduced charge of manslaughter.
Okay, that's what I was curious about.
Yeah,
okay.
we didn't, in conjunction with the family, we didn't want to put them through a trial and take that.
Sure.
What at the time we hoped would be close to 47 years of incarceration.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. DA. We appreciate the work you do and appreciate your time to come before us. Quite often we get letters of blanket disapproval or opposition, and those don't mean much to us. But we like to hear from somebody. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Okay. let's see, we also have Derek Johnson. Is Derek Johnson on the line?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, sir, and you're the Rapides Parish Assistant District Attorney, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, the floor is yours.
I just want to echo what Mr. Lamorne said. Due to the heinous nature of the crimes that Ms. Finley committed, our office is still in opposition and thinks that she is not ready to be a member of society at this point in time right now.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you coming down and or appearing before us, going to the trouble of zooming in and like I say, if you would pass it on to your other district attorneys and friends that you know that it means a lot to us to hear directly from you, not necessarily on Zoom, but personal letters and things and means a lot to us. And
Yes, sir.
all right, thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
All right, we've had those that are for and those that are against this opposition. Now it's time for us on this board to conduct our questions and our hearings, and then such time as we will be able to vote then. All right, Mr. Barris is the lead on this thing, so we'll let you begin.
Well, Mr. Lamont did a good, pretty much explanation of the crime. I have a question though. Why did you kill Keith Smith? It doesn't say, he didn't say, why did that happen? Because everything before that, it just looks like you were writing worthless checks, you know, stealing identities, stealing forgeries and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden this. Why did you kill the man?
The night that I killed him, he and I had got into an argument. We argued over money. We argued over our families. And he said that he was going to kill me. And we started arguing, and one thing led to another, and there was a gun in the cabinet, and I just killed him. It's nothing I intended to do, but I just did it. And I'm so sorry I did it. I mean, I'm very, very remorseful that I did it. If I could change that day, I would definitely change that day, because no one, Keith, his mother, no one deserved to be killed. And we argued over money. And all my life, that was my problem, was I was never good with money. I wrote check after check and got myself backed up to the wall. And that's exactly what happened. I'm not gonna lie to you, that's exactly what happened.
All right. So what was happened to make you decide to poison Miss Barbara?
Well, I was paying her bills, and I was writing checks out of her account. And I wrote some checks for some tires, some for groceries, one at the gas station, and one other one I can't remember, but it was 4 of them I know. And then when I got nervous that she was going to find out, again, had to do with money. And I just gave her some Ambien, and I wasn't trying to kill, I mean, I did kill Keith, but I wasn't trying to kill Miss Barbara. I just didn't want her lucid enough to know that I was writing checks.
So what you're telling me is you wasn't trying to kill her, you were just trying to make her not know what was going on with her checkbook.
Yes, sir.
And was that all going on at the same time? Were you drugging Miss Barbara at the time you killed Mr. Smith, or did that start after the time you killed him? Or was all at the same?
That was before and at the same time.
So you started with his mother first, and then he died in for that, right? Also, for the record, what hadn't been stated yet is that you've been arrested 17 times for 41 different offenses. That was part of the, and I think you got a break when you got 40 years rather than life for the manslaughter charge, but that's all questions I have.
I don't know. in all fairness and honesty to you, I'm trying to wrap my head around the body disposal. I mean, that seems like it's all, what's the word, macumber? What's that word, macumber? Never mind.
Bizarre.
Bizarre, kind of dark. I mean, it is dark. Tell me, what's going on with burying the body, taking the body out, trying to cut it up, trying to do all that? That's strange. Can you explain what's going through your mind?
I was scared that I was gonna be caught. And I wanted to tell the police, but I didn't want to tell the police because I knew I was going to be taken away from my family. And I was just crazy. I mean, literally, I was going through, I mean, I can't say any other words besides I was absolutely crazy at the time. I was mortified about what I did. And I knew I was going to get caught, but once I went to jail, it was on my conscience so bad, I just had to finally tell the truth about what I did.
Okay, did they find the body and then come to you, or did you?
No, I told them.
You told them where the body was?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I don't.
And can I say something on when they were talking about the theft charge that I had here? Can I explain that?
Yeah. The
theft charge was, I was a facilitator for one of the churches for a class in church. And we had a person that came that was in one of the classes, and it was Celebrate Recovery. And the person, one of my like students for Celebrate Recovery, came to class, and then she left from class. But I didn't take her off the role that she had been there because I just didn't take her off. Well, somebody reported it that I did not take her off the list, and I got a report for theft. So that was considered theft.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's all the questions I have. So, how many more questions? No more questions. Okay. Well, it's time to take a vote then. What do you think?
I'm gonna have to vote to deny parole based on the heinous and gruesome nature of the offense. That there was two people, that one you murdered and one you attempted to murder, and attempts to cover up the crimes after the fact. Also noted is the strong law enforcement opposition and the strong victim opposition. So for those reasons, I vote to deny parole.
Ms. Finley, the crimes you did were bad. And I can see the remorse in you. A lot of times we do things and we do things and then we regret it later. I hope that you continue bettering yourself. I really feel like you need to have a chance, but at this time I'm going to vote to deny also.
Yes.
I vote to deny and concur with my compadres. Okay, at this time you're
Can I just say something? I want to say to Keith's family and to my family that I am extremely remorseful for what I did, and I take full accountability because I did it. And I want to thank the board for hearing me today.
Thank you, ma'am, for saying that. We appreciate that. We'll wish you luck and continue the path that you're on. Okay, that'll end this hearing. Thank you. Okay, we're signing off now from Yes, from there at 12:40